Hi, my name is Lisa. I'm your host on Velo Dulce, the show where we talk woman, performance, and life. Velo Dulce comes from the Italian phrase La vita dolce, which means the good life. These are stories from women around the world on finding the good life, no matter what life throws at them. All of you on the show know that I have a history of interviewing high-performance female athletes, and today's show is no different. While she may not be racing bicycles around a track or up mountains, she certainly is setting the pace in her career, and as importantly, inspiring others to do the same. In case you're not yet familiar with her, Chanelle Zackey-Prinsloo is the National Marketing Director of the world's most iconic brand. And soon I'll let you know what that brand is. But in case you don't know her, I will hold you in suspense. Chanelle is South African-born Lebanese, married and on a mission not only to achieve in her own career, but to empower those around her. Welcome, Chanelle.
Thank you, Lisa. What an introduction. I think I'm blown away. I'm truly humbled by all of that. So thank you. And thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you. Thank you. So before I reveal to the listeners, because we have listeners around the world, who you work for, I want to know, who is Chanelle outside of work? Like without that part of your life.
Yes. So I'm a 33-year-old female. As you mentioned, I come from a family of Lebanese descent, so I'm a big family girl. I would say for me, things that I'm passionate about outside of my work environment would have to be things like cooking and reading. I'm a real bookworm. I love traveling, spending time with the family, journaling, and writing. I am very much a devout Catholic, so I'm very much, as very spiritual and into my faith. So those are all the sort of things that I love outside of the work environment.
Cool. So I know that work is a massive part of your life, and I wanted to introduce this with a story. So on the 1st of May, 2018, I got into a car and went to lunch. This was not just a car, it was a Ferrari. And I can honestly tell you, I'm into Formula One, MotoGP, like anything with two wheels. I'm pretty much there. And it was a life-changing experience. It was not for the color of the car or because it was a Ferrari. If I had closed my eyes and not known the brand, it would have been a life-changing experience. Awesome. So now, to introduce you properly, you are the National Marketing Director of Scuderia Ferrari South Africa, and have been with the team for 10 years now, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
But you started out humbly as a glorified receptionist, in your own words.
Exactly. That is, and I quote, a glorified receptionist.
At BMW.
Yes, that is right.
All those years ago. So I was listening to an interview of you between you and the interviewer yesterday, and you were talking about, how you started. I don't want to repeat too much of the story because, I will send the listeners the links of all your other interviews, but can you give us a glimpse into that kind of Chanelle who stepped out of university and into the big wide world?
I would love to. I mean, I think it was such an important part of my story and why I have been led to do what I do. Because I was, a young girl, totally naive, didn't really understand, the concept of what it was like to make it in the real world, or what it was going to be like working in a vast business space. I was totally overwhelmed. I think that I was disillusioned at the fact that when I graduated, I thought I was going to land a nice, comfortable job, straight out of varsity and earn a nice salary and have a beautiful office, with your own space and all these perks and privileges. But I learned very quickly that wasn't the way it goes down. And unfortunately, the real world is ruthless, and it's tough out there, and you have to know what your values are. You have to stick to them, and you have to know your worth to a certain extent. But also, people are constantly trying to push you into boxes, and you're very seldomly left with the ability to think for yourself and to be able to pursue things that you love, because you're told that this is the way you need to do things. So I was out of my depth completely. I was very heartbroken in a sense, because I felt that things that I was passionate about were just falling to the wayside. And yeah, I would say that it was horrible, because as I said, you think, okay, well, I've worked so hard and I've got all these dreams, and now they just seem to come crashing down in front of you. And only slowly do you start picking up the pieces to build yourself to the hope to where we want to become one day, or what we'd like to become one day, I should say.
Absolutely. And I sometimes think you get that. I wouldn't call it a lesson, but sometimes you get that lesson over and over again in life.
Exactly.
And for me, that's the real definition of resilience.
Absolutely. And persistency, I think the main is to persist and to, as you said, just to not give up and throw in the towel just yet. You don't know what's around the next corner and what life can bring. So yeah, I would definitely say persistency is a big aspect of following and trusting the journey.
Absolutely. So I've had the privilege to chat with a number of women, extremely successful, mostly sporting wise, but I would call you a corporate athlete at the pinnacle of your performance. So I put you in that category, and I love the Insta versus reality style, because often what you see on Insta is not the reality. And I know you've mentioned this a number of times in other interviews. It's like, it's not all, fancy cars and like, believe it or not, she does not come to work and sit in the car all day, like, and take pics. That's not her job. I work in marketing, so I can tell you it's true.
Exactly.
What has been your biggest lesson over the past 10 years?
Wow, I would say there's been so many. I think my biggest lesson is that, one has to realize that, you're only as good as what the work that you put out. So I do believe that if you're going to have a haphazard approach and a lackadaisy approach to the work that you're giving out, it's only going to come back to you in return. I feel that your work should be a example of you as an individual, and it should exemplify you as an individual. So I would definitely have to say, in terms of work ethic, give your best and you'll receive the best in return. And that's true as far as it is with dealing with people and delivering on projects and and being true to yourself. I would definitely say that that's one of my key lessons that I've learned. I would also have to say that there's nothing that one can't do with a little bit of support and a little bit of learning and training. That has been my biggest lesson, I think, in my totality of my career. Being, coming from a male dominant industry, I was again, a little bit like a fish out of water when I entered the motor industry, because for men it comes naturally, what size engines there are in cars and what the horsepower is and all the technicalities. It's very natural for a man to thrive in this environment. But my biggest lesson was that with a little bit of consistency and getting your head down to work and to study and to learn, the environment that you're in, you can take on, whatever it is that you need to conquer and accomplish. So I would say that was maybe one of my biggest lessons. I had to prioritize one.
I agree. And I think that's great, because I think people often look at people such as yourself or an Olympic athlete, and they go like, oh, I want to be there, and why am I not there? Well, you got to get up at 5 a.m. You got to train like twice a day. You got to study. You got to you have to level up.
Exactly. And you do need to give it, you do need to put in the work if you want to see results. And I love what you're saying about being maybe a corporate athlete, because I do feel that this is a race sometimes.
Absolutely.
And it's got a lot to do with stamina, because
absolutely.
honestly, it's been a challenge. Every year you think, I don't know how I'm going to see through another 12 months, and you have to pace yourself, and you've got to go through a lot of challenges. And as you said, you've got to make decisions every single day that can work towards you helping achieve your end result. So I absolutely love that description, and I think it's extremely appropriate.
Yeah, I'm actually going to name this the title of this show, The Corporate Athlete. I think that's
Brilliant.
a great
I'm going to do a social media post on that as well.
Thank you. So let's continue with leveling up. Give us, if you can remember one, a best leveling up story.
Wow. So there's been constant level ups in my career, so to say. But for me, it's the process of benchmarking. So I always explain this to my students or to interns that come and join the company. I always believe that you're also only as good as your last project. So I do believe in the process of benchmarking. Take what you've done as your last best performer and try and level that up. So take your last event or campaign or activity or record, whatever the case is that you're working on, and see how you can better it. It doesn't have to be, a level up is just that. It's just one step above or one step ahead of what you've done before, just to improve, your past record. So for me, my journey at Ferrari has been a constant benchmark activity. I've constantly taken things that work and best practices, and I've analyzed them and broken them down, and just, I've tried to think totally out the box to see how one can take it to the next level and one can level up. If I have to give like an example, so to say, as to one particular example, it would be how, at Ferrari, we very much centered around the events that take place with our customers and the client loyalty activities. But, for us, we do a lot of things that are structured on the sales side. And several years ago, I said to my boss, look, we're missing something here. And I feel that there's an element of this business that we're not being totally transparent with, and we're not encompassing enough. And that was to engage the after sales side of the business. And that's basically where the workshop is, and where the services and the maintenance repairs take place. And I said to my boss at the time, I said, listen, we have to do something in this workshop. I don't feel that the service department and the after sales team get enough credit for the work that they do, because everything's about the car and the sale and, oh, look at you, congratulations, your new car. But what happens after that, that journey? And what happens after your time that you've taken delivery? There's an entire team, an entire force that are extremely well trained and dedicated to making sure that your car is looked after they take delivery. So I decided to put together a gala dinner, but that was taking place in the workshop facility of our showroom. So it was absolutely magnificent.
Wow.
We had this industrial setting with this magnificent and elegant setting in the center with the cars on display, and truly just to highlight and engage the service team and what they do in the business. So that was truly a benchmarking event that I did many, many moons ago. But I would say that stood out for me quite a bit.
That's amazing. And I love that, because it speaks to the heart of the brand, like, the engine behind the shiny red exterior.
Exactly. It's all about what goes on behind the scenes, as well as what you see in the showcase.
Absolutely. And incidentally, if you are thinking about getting into marketing, just pay attention to those words, because that is how it is.
Thanks.
So I moved to Spain in where are we? Post-pandemic, the years seem to just move into each other. Yeah.
It's one big mess. I'm with you.
So I moved to Spain in 2020. I didn't speak a word of Spanish. And I was like, how hard can it be? Well, of course, then I cried for like a month after that. But I mean, that's kind of how it goes. I also, in South Africa, I wouldn't say I was a big fish in a small pond, because I don't see South Africa like that. But I had achieved a certain level of success. And then I came to Europe and I was like, what do you mean no one knows who I am? Like,
I get you. I get you.
Yeah, and now I work for a Belgian company, Whale, which I absolutely love. But for me, it was like yet another kind of level up. So for me, that never stops.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to know, I mean, obviously you're based in South Africa, but the brand is Europe Central. Like, did you feel that with your European counterparts, or did you have any of that?
Yes, definitely. So when I was competing for the Testarossa Awards in 2018, I got a good idea of the talent and the success of the other marketing managers from throughout the world when we were, put together in a competition to compete against each other. And again, you feel totally out of your depth because, you've got the likes of huge markets like the USA and Switzerland and China all competing for the same title. And yeah, you think, oh, like the imposter syndrome really kicks in. And what does a young South African girl, what is she doing here, firstly? And secondly, does she even have what it takes to take a title like this? So I've definitely felt like that with my European counterparts. But at the same time, I've used the lessons that I've learned from them and the discussions that I've had with them to the best of my ability. And in 2018, I won the Testarossa Awards, and I was extremely humbled because it just, as I said, it just goes to show that with hard work and dedication and a little bit of believing in yourself, I think goes a very far way. So I think it's totally normal to want to always level up, on a global scale, even to say, because there's people out there that see things from a totally different perspective, and yet at the same time, there's so much that we've got to learn from them. So I would see it rather as a advantage of learning from people from across the globe as opposed to a competitive, as a competitive threat, and just seeing what everybody has to offer and try and see if you can make that work for yourself and in your own scope.
I love that. That's such a great perspective.
And by comparing, you're only doing yourself an injustice. But if you take what you have to learn from them, you can level up in that way.
100%.
You help each other at the end of the day.
100%. I must say, actually, like a while ago, can't remember, I was walking down some street and I kind of had this always like, I don't know if it's a South African mental thing when you go overseas, but it's kind of like, I have to prove myself. But actually, you bring such a rich history of diversity and you bring such an entrepreneurial spirit to whatever you do as a South African in general. And that is such an asset.
Yeah, I love what you say about, South Africans constantly trying to prove themselves. And that's exactly how I feel. I feel like I'm a woman always trying to prove myself. I'm a South African always trying to prove myself. I don't know what it is, but I feel that, again, maybe as a society and as a culture, we don't give each other credit and we don't give each other enough gratification of our achievements and our accomplishments. And we're constantly looking to say, oh, that's great, but she's a South African, oh, that's
right.
Great. Well, we don't ever put ourselves in the likes of the rest of the world because I don't think we believe it as true as it is. I don't think we actually believe how much talent we have and how much we have succeeded, But it's amazing the minute somebody's put on the map, like an Elon Musk or,
yes.
Or a it's unbelievable
it's
that they're
huge.
South African.
Yes.
But there's so much talent and there's so much skill in this country. It is phenomenal. I just think that we do need to definitely focus on taking credit for and where it's due,
100%.
But I totally can relate to that.
100%. I actually, so I'm big into cycling, and this year's Vuelta a España in my region of Spain, Louis Meintjes, a pro cyclist, won that stage of the Vuelta a España, and literally everybody in the province like phoned me that day and was like, Lisa, well done, like we looked on the internet and we saw where South Africa is, and like it's amazing. And I was so proud. I was like, yes,
it's a compliment, exactly. But also at the same time, like I think the world needs to normalize South African doing great things.
Yeah. And a few weeks after that, Ashley Moulman Pasio, who also lives in Spain, also won, I can't remember what tour she won, but she won the women's tour. And again, everyone was like, South Africa. And I was like, yeah, watch my peeps. They're coming for you.
Exactly. No, it's amazing to see. And I love the fact that we've got a footprint across the globe. Wherever you go, you meet South Africans, and there's no one like them. There's honestly no one like them.
100%. So now, coming back to your story, and this is just my perspective, a perspective of one, as much as I think, you have gained media interest, and obviously you work for an iconic brand. You can always see when someone has a special quality about them. And something that really highlighted that for me recently was that I saw that you started an internship program. Tell us about that.
So I think that's one of my most proud accomplishments in the company so far, despite the awards and despite the media recognition. For me, it really was a starting point of me coming to terms with the fact that when I started in the working world, I had no mentor and I had no guidance, and I had very little opportunity to start. And I knew it was tough trying to break it into the working world, into the business world. So knowing the experience and the difficulty I had, in 2017, I said to my COO, and I said to him, look, I really feel passionate about going, and I did research and I put a proper business documentation together to show the benefits of an internship program for the business. And I said to him, I really feel that there's going to be a value add here for our company if we launch an internship campaign. And these are my goals. It was basically a platform for young, dynamic, ambitious, passionate individuals, for them to kickstart their career by coming into the company on a 6-month internship program, where I would take them on for that entire period and take them through the entire business model. So they would spend time with me, with my sales team, with my after sales team, and learn the entire, or the holistic, business model. And we would then start honing in on their skills and seeing, where are they starting to flourish? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it after sales? Is it technical departments? And seeing, if there's an opportunity for them, firstly, to be grown in the business. Needless to say, we can't employ every intern that joined the program, but, we would see if there was potential for them to grow and to further themselves in the company that we, that we launched the program in, and give them a real day-to-day and real tactics to work within the business world. Things like updating their CV, updating their LinkedIn profiles. What are we going to do after this internship is done? Like, what is your next step? And that for me was a bit of a mentorship movement that I feel extremely passionate about. And like I said, I think it comes from a place of empathy, because I know what it's like to be in that position. I knew what it was like to have this like dead end and not have anybody looking at my CV, not have any aspects or prospects of going into the business world. And I felt totally hopeless at the time. And I wanted to change that a little bit, and as much as I believe that the internship program has got a lot more opportunity and a lot more magnitude, I think that if we all do a little bit in our communities, we can help each other and help the people around us. I would love to see this program grow bigger. And as I said to someone the other day, my long-term goal is to eventually, hopefully, launch a mentorship academy. But for now, I'm just doing what I can with what I can,
I love in the scope that I have. I love that, because I think a lot of people go, I can't do anything, so they just leave it. But actually, you can do something where you are with what you have. I truly believe that.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be on a large scale. I mean, mine was literally, as I said, it was it's been now 5 consecutive years running. COVID was a little bit of a catch, but we've seen individuals and youngsters coming into these programs that are flourishing. They honestly are thriving. Some of them are still with the company. Some of them have gone on to greener pastures, and it's beautiful to see them thrive and to see them prosper. And it truly means the world to me to be able to have given them that stepping stone and coach them and mentor them in some little way, to say, this is what I can show you, use it to the best of your ability, and go and take on the world.
I think that is phenomenal. I also don't underplay the significant impact of that.
Thanks, Lisa.
6 years as a program is phenomenal. So that's a major achievement. I
Thank
also think that, well, I once had a boss. She was like straight out of Devil Wears Prada. She was like, she was out to kill you, or like,
yeah,
she would just make every day as difficult as possible. And I look back at that time and I feel sorry for her. I feel sad, and I'm like, wow, you know, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, we could all just do a little bit to kind of uplift each other, especially as women in the workplace. So yeah.
Totally. There's so much competition out there already, you know, and just by, you know, by helping the next person is not going to take any glory or any success away from you. I think it can only, you know, it can only help people empower, and it creates a beautiful environment. But I think we've all had bosses like that, and I think we all know someone like that. But yeah, we need to stick together to be the change that we want to see.
Absolutely. So now, yeah, I am conscious of our time together. I usually end up with something called the firing line, but it's not the firing line. It's just a fun game. So it's just pick your best answer without thinking.
Okay.
Night in or night out?
Night in. I'm in my 30s now, so that's definitely changed.
Don't even talk to me. I'm in my 40s.
5 years ago, I would have said night out.
Totally. Fruit or chocolate?
Fruit. I'm one of those terrible people.
Really?
I love fruits.
Wow. I have a friend at my co-working space with me. She loves a piece of fruit every day after lunch. She's like, I brought you dessert today, and then she gives me a piece of fruit. I'm like, this is not dessert.
Don't get me wrong, I love chocolate, but I've in the last 5 years, I've recently gotten so into enjoying fruit, because I've become more conscious of the fact of maybe also going into my 30s, how food makes you feel. Yes. And although I love chocolate and I love, you know, I love me some pasta and all these wonderful foods, I think it's more of a habit now that I'm so into my fruits. I actually just had a bowl of berries just before this interview. So
wow.
I would, that was the first thing off the top of my head.
Amazing. Sleep in or work out?
Oh, tough one. Sleep in.
Both is also an option.
Or both.
Land or sea?
Land.
Travel or home?
Travel.
Okay, now this one, I hope is not going to get me into trouble with anyone, including your mother. Food, Italian or Lebanese?
Oh, that's such a tough one. Can I say both?
Yes, you can. You can say both to keep the peace across the land.
I'll say Lebanese food and Italian desserts, just to keep it there.
Well done. That's very, very, very diplomatic. A day in the game reserve or a day at the beach?
Game reserve, definitely. I'm a real bush baby.
Really?
I was actually saying to clients of ours the other day, we went into the bush for a glamping experience, and my husband and I always have this debate, because he loves the sea and I love the bush. So I'm a bush baby all the way.
Amazing. Have you, your husband, is he from Joburg?
Yes. He spent a couple of years in Cape Town, but we met up here in Joburg.
Okay, that's my next question. Cape Town or Jozi?
Oh, Cape Town has my heart, but
really,
Joburg is my home.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I love Jozi. I really do.
I love it, and it's my home. It's where I've grown up. It's where I've got my family. It's where the people I love live. And although I love the beauty and the vastness of what Cape Town has to offer in terms of nature and the lifestyle, Joburg's my home. Jozi girl all the way.
Cool. Last words of advice for someone going through a really tough time right now.
Stay hopeful, because as I said earlier, you don't know what's waiting for you around the corner. Your next breakthrough can literally be a couple of steps away, a couple of hours away, a couple of days away. So just don't give up hope.
Cool. Thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure to chat to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so honored. And I've loved connecting with you. You are
an
inspiration to me in so many ways. So I'm truly happy that we got this time to chat and connect. And
me too.
Hopefully see you in Joburg for a coffee soon, or maybe in España.
Yes. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Velo Dulce. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you loved it, please do share with a friend and write a review on iTunes. I will be most appreciative. Most importantly on the show, I hope to inspire each and every one of you in whatever way, shape, or form. If you have a story, please drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. But until next time, I wish you Velo Dulce.